Trying to correct my posture. Okay, folks, in response to the growth that my channel has been experiencing, turning away from J.Scott Garibay and turning towards covering my interest in jump chains, I am making a video about J.Scott Garibay because nothing succeeds like making bad decisions. Folks, he made a video where makes he uses Chernobyl as a metaphor for Orion Acaba's behavior on Critical Role. You might be saying to yourself, "Wow, that's terrible. That's a terrible way to portray Orion Acaba's behavior on Critical Role." Yes, he was a showboat. He brought a live. He didn't discharge it, but he brought a live flamethrower to his, I guess, ultimate appearance on the 27th episode, Mr. Garibay, of Critical Role. So, but to make the metaphor to draw comparisons to Chernobyl, Mr. Garibay. But hey, folks, you may not know J.Scott Garibay, Metatron of the ultimate D&D player, the most important D&D player to ever exist. If you don't know that, you're an ignorant fool. You have been educated by J.Scott Garibay. J.Scott Garibay made a video where he drew a comparison to Chernobyl and Orion Acaba, but drew the conclusion that much like Chernobyl, Orion Acaba is a person that people claim was toxic, but if you really look at the reality, much like Chernobyl, referring to the actual Chernobyl disaster, which, I'm sorry, from my actual notes, hold on. I have my professionally prepared script, but make sure I get my hair. Make sure I got my hair on fleek. J.Scott Garibay defines the Chernobyl disaster as something that was, in fact, explosive, an incident where, in fact, some people got hurt, and it did, in fact, make some people uncomfortable. But if you look at the end game, what actually happened to Chernobyl, if you go there now, there's all sorts of elk and deer and lynx jumping around. People go and visit it. So just like Orion Acaba, say hello to all the people in the live chat. How you doing? I've looked at my analytics, and engaging with the live chat apparently is a death knell. So I'm going to have to say F you. Not to by name, unfortunately, but I acknowledge you and I love you. Love me back. Let's watch the video together. I have notes. This one is a firecracker. Jump Chain fans, stay tuned. I will give you previews at the end for some wonderful stuff we've got coming up. And remember, this is the dude that is going to be my metaphorical nemesis, the guy I want to 30 jump chains to jumper perfection. I want to battle this man who not only draws the analogy between Orion Acaba and Chernobyl and dismisses Chernobyl as no big deal. Hey, talk about douche maneuvers. And folks, don't just tune out. Well, a lot of people just tune out after 45 seconds, and we lost them a long time ago. Guys, gals, it's my analytics also tell me that you're all guys. Hey, would you just watch the video? Come on. It gets better towards the end. I swear to God, I peak towards the end, which is a terrible thing to have as a quality if you're a YouTube content creator because people start at the beginning, and if you don't wowie zowie them, they do what? They stop watching. That's what's leading to the deadening of our society. Resist it within yourselves, folks. Eat your vegetables and watch the video to the end. Okay? I promise you, at the end. I've already lost everybody. What the hell? I don't know what the hell's going on. Anyway, if you don't watch to the end, what am I gonna do? Insult you? Is that gonna stick you? Knowing human beings, I don't know. Was that it's gonna work on? And my numbers are, you know what I mean? When we play you, man, like play the percent. Half of you probably will respond to negative influence. So you know what I mean. If half of you are masochists, half of you are, you know what I mean. Like the half of you are masochists. Listen to the following message. Hey, you don't listen to the end? But then the vast majority you're listening to on your cellular phone devices, so you're not seeing me anyway, so that was all lost on you. Let the record show for the visually impaired. Yeah, I raised my hand in a manner. Now I'm gonna get in trouble with the algorithm. This is why I'm not successful on YouTube. That's why I'm not successful. I've lost this game. I haven't even gotten to the video yet. J.Scott Garibay. You know what I mean? Folks, like, comment, and subscribe. For the love of Jeff, okay? Would we just do something over here? Would you watch to the end? Would you have it not be the fact that when I tune into my analytics, it says 95% of your audience tuned out after 45 seconds? I mean, I get it. I understand how that works, but still, it doesn't change the fact that it's still, I get it that, you know what I mean, that's got to be like everybody, me, Philip DeFranco, the most popular guys in the world. It's got to be like, not, 95% of people, tune in, they click the video. That's not what you tuned in for, and they tune out. So it's what everyone's got to look at. It just still looks like, it doesn't look, it's not a good feeling. You make it a minute 15. See how long you can watch my video for, and then try and double that time. And even the people that I said, I'm not interacting with the live chat, talk amongst yourselves, okay? At the end, I'll tune back in and say something to you. Would you do that? Jesus Christ. Anyway, J.Scott Garibay, this is what he does.
Hi, friends. This is your pal, Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons. We're going to talk about Matthew Mercer. We're going to talk about...
Fair use, by the way. Let it be the case that I waffle on like this. And in fact, I want to thank all y'all. You know what I mean? Tim Frey, always leaving good comments. Jonaside, always at work. Sometimes I haven't seen him yet. Whatever. Mario Heat. The guy can clip. You can promote me on social media. Has anyone forwarded this video on those who remain on X? Is anyone taking the time to share on social media? I'm not giving you a hard time.
Orion Acaba. We're going to talk about toxicity. So what's really interesting is I've had a robust conversation about Orion Acaba on my channel since I started covering this topic in depth. I believe I've covered the topic of Orion Acaba in more depth than anyone on the planet.
Let's just say this again. Going off and saying things that are entirely based on private thoughts in your own head that are not in any way, shape, or form based on any sort of factual evidence, and in fact are demonstrably based on things that are factually incorrect. The dude Orion Acaba was on 27 episodes of Critical Role. You keep on saying that he was on 72 episodes, making yourself look like a jackass. You have made statements saying that, oh, the reason I say he was on 72 episodes was because of this, this, and the other thing. That doesn't change the fact that he was only on 27 episodes. He was on 27 episodes. That's it. Everything else you say, you contradict yourself. You say this about him, you say that about him. That making videos about a subject doesn't make you an expert about a subject when those videos are just you like saying like, what if Marilyn Monroe was with me right now? Do you think she would say to me, Benjamin, you are the hottest guy ever. And I came back from the dead just to speak to you. And then I came back and the next day live streamed from my bedroom, a lonely man saying, and Marilyn Monroe, imagine if Marilyn Monroe's with me right now saying, Benjamin, do you think I would look good in this sort of modern dress or this sort of modern dress? And I would say to her, Marilyn, you're Marilyn Monroe. You look good in anything. And then I were to say to you after 27 years of making videos like this, everybody knows that I'm in love with Marilyn and Marilyn is in love with me. If she wasn't in love with me, why would she have made 27 years of content, YouTube content with me? Are you going to tell me that I'm not the foremost expert on Marilyn Monroe and her taste in music, art, cinema, TV, and fashion? Who else has been talking to her for 27 years in their bedroom? First of all, a ton of people, right? Just because you're the one guy who obsesses about Orion Acaba doesn't change the fact that everything you said about Orion Acaba is just shit that you've made up in your brain. You're not the foremost expert in anything other than how to freak out your neighbors in Philadelphia suburbs by driving around in endless circles talking to your cell phone in a car.
And if you think I'm wrong,
I think you're wrong.
I'm eager to see the person you think has defeated me. Send me the link. I don't think
No one needs to defeat you. It's just the notion that you think that's talking about a subject makes you an expert in that subject alone without the fact that, having that subject be like elucidated by facts and research, you know nothing about which you speak. You haven't interviewed Orion Acaba. You haven't dared to do any research about him. You don't know anything about this stuff. In fact, the things you do say are factually incorrect.
you're going to find one. All right. So what's really interesting is people come in the comments and they say, Scott, Orion Acaba was toxic.
They haven't said that in months. Well, like weeks, maybe. You don't think that people track you? You don't think people are like, you know what I mean? Like fans of like being like, what the hell is up with J.Scott Garibay? I watch you, I watch your videos, I look at your videos at the end of the day to see who has commented, what the comments are. People, you had a flurry of people in the beginning when you started making these Orion Acaba and Critical Role videos again, like a couple of months ago. Critters came out because they thought you were dropping news bombs, obviously, about Orion Acaba coming back. And then what always happens with your new cycle about starting something, you kick the hornet's nest of people. So people started trying to educate you or fighting with you about convincing you about the reality of the fact of why he actually got kicked off the show. That was a while ago. It's been a hot minute since anyone has even bothered to tell you anything about Orion Acaba.
Right. This is interesting, and I've actually already done a video on toxicity. Right. But I want to talk about toxicity again. So first of all, I don't actually think that Orion was toxic. However,
Then you got problems, bro. He brought a live flamethrower to an enclosed space with other live human beings, putting actual human beings in physical risk of harm. And most people agree that it was probably a safe inference that at the time that he did that, he was in a problematic mental state due to abuse issues, like substance abuse issues, probably most likely, by his own admission that he was dealing with. He was also probably had a problematic relationship with the fan base. He was called out for it on the show by his coworkers. The dude was toxic. It is what it is. And to the degree that you want to think it's subjective, his coworkers, his friends at the time on the show, whose opinions are the only really opinions that mattered, which happened 10 years ago, thought that way and made the determination, which is why he's no longer on the show. This, of course, happened 10 years ago. Everyone's over it, but
This is supposed
Orion
to
Acaba over it,
be a conversation. I'm supposed to listen, right? So
which you don't.
if I disagree, I can't just dismiss that idea, right? So what if Orion
But you do dismiss the idea. People have been telling you for a while now why the facts are in, why the admissions are in, why people have stated why he was toxic, and you just keep on deleting comments, ignoring comments, and just telling people that they're ignorant fools for disagreeing with you. It is what it is, homie.
Acaba was toxic, right? Does that mean that he should be left behind? He should be forgotten, and that Critical Role owes him nothing? My answer to you is the answer to that question, all those questions, is no. No. Even if he was toxic, which I
He wasn't forgotten. They didn't take his videos down. It is what it is, homie. You know what I mean?
do not grant. But there are many, many people who have come in the comments. I would probably say 20 different people have
It's a huge number. You've made by your own admission, what, close to 1,000 videos on this subject? And 20 people have come and talked to you about this? Holy crap.
called Orion Acaba toxic in the 150.
I'm sorry, 150. He's got thousands of videos, only 150 about this subject.
In the 150 videos that I've done on the subject, in the comments, I've seen probably at least 20 different people say Orion Acaba was toxic. What if he was? Is that bad?
It's not good.
I'm not sure of that. Wait a second, Scott. Of course, toxicity is bad. Toxicity isn't good. No, you're wrong. I guess let me give.
Here we go. Toxicity isn't bad. Toxicity is good. Okay, well, here we go.
Let me present you some evidence. So, Chernobyl was
Chernobyl. Now, here we go, folks. Chernobyl. You're familiar with Chernobyl. Most people are. I remember when Chernobyl happened. I was born in 1975, so I lived through the entirety of the 80s. Right? I remember Chernobyl. I remember the Challenger disaster. You know what I mean? I remember a whole bunch of crap. I remember Chernobyl.
this terrible accident.
And this dude is 5 years older than me. So you best believe that he remembers. I don't know if he remembers Chernobyl well, because he's about to say something really ridiculous.
It was explosive, and some people got hurt, right? And people were definitely uncomfortable.
Okay, let me stop right there. And I do want to say, fuck, you know what? If people don't want to watch this, people tune out, whatever. I like to say, Tim Frey, first in the live chat, gold medal on to you. Forget, F the analytics. These are my homies. Mario Heat, first on Twitch. Gold medal on to you for live chat participation on Twitch. Literally 45 seconds into the video that analytics I was looking at, the one from 95. I lost 95% of my videos. I looked at the 45-second mark. It was literally the point at which I started saying hello to the live chat. F that. I don't care. There we go. Genocide. Silver medal on to you. If you tune out when I talk to my live audience, then you, my friend, are a jabroni. Yeah. Anywho, you know who else is a jabroni? Anyone who would define Chernobyl as, pardon me, a incident that was explosive where merely some people got hurt, and of course, conceding that it definitely made some people uncomfortable. Why? Now, look, I got this research through ChatGPT, so you may have to understand that some of these facts may not be 100% accurate, but I dare say that I did a little bit more research than our friend J.Scott Garibay. The minute I heard him define Chernobyl in that way, and the minute I was understanding that he was going to make a metaphor, we say hello to Catherine. Long time no see, Catherine. Now, if you're going to make a metaphor to Chernobyl, if you want to make a TTRPG channel meltdown, you finally get a lady in the live chat. Hello, Catherine. We say hello to you. And I apologize for objectifying you. I will report to human resources yet again. Folks, I'm a work in progress. Yeah. Now, here are the facts here. Chernobyl was not just a terrible accident that made some people uncomfortable, it was one of the most devastating technological disasters in human history. Immediate deaths. Two workers died, Mr. Garibay, the night of the explosion. Short term casualties. It's all about diversity. 28 emergency workers died of acute radiation sickness. Long term toll, the World Health Organization estimates 4,000 excess cancer deaths. Some studies suggest up to 90,000. Health impact, over 6,000 thyroid cancer deaths linked directly to exposure, Mr. Garibay. Evacuations, over 350,000 people permanently displaced, environmental fallout, contamination of Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, and radioactive particles reaching as far as Sweden and the USA. It's a little country called the USA, Mr. Garibay. I don't know if you heard about it. From sea to shining sea. You know, my grandmother, both my grandmas, my bubby and mi abuela, were in the United States of America. The time of Chernobyl, exposed to radiation, Mr. Garibay. I don't know if you had grandmothers alive during the time of Chernobyl. So if I get a little hot, because I actually had skin in the game. Also, my ass was in Chernobyl. I had a little bro at the time. He was a baby. I think he was on planet. I think he was born by then. Born, Anyway, exclusion zone, 1,000 square miles remain restricted. Geopolitical impact. No, we're not. Anyway, global consequences. Change. Okay, here we go. Compare this how one person made other to compare this to how one person made other players uncomfortable during a D&D live stream is insulting to victims and survivors of a very real catastrophe. Wouldn't you say? Good evening to everyone, says Cheggs Chambers, and we say good evening to you. Mr. Garibay. What are you thinking, sir? And by the way, sorry it didn't air on Apple TV. It was on HBO, I think. They made a recent miniseries about Chernobyl. It was kind of a big deal, my friend. Kind of a big deal. Anyway, let's go back to you being yet again an amazing human being, empathetic, making amazing points to support the most important thing. Oh, we also know that you've kind of stopped talking about Orion Acaba returning to the critical role table, though you previously stated that this was necessary to save millions of American male lives. You wouldn't have stopped that crusade just to save your own ego and to save face when you know that it's not going to happen, would you? I mean, saving millions of American male lives would certainly be a quest so important that one wouldn't simply just forget about it or just stop doing it just to save face, would they? That couldn't be it.
right? Now, that does mirror Orion's situation where it was.
That mirrors Orion's situation. Chernobyl mirrors Orion's situation, a situation where one dude, for whatever reason, however you want to characterize it, behavior got out of control to the point where one day a guy who was previously a member of a Let's Play, a D&D live stream, was all of a sudden no longer at the table. That's in any way, shape, or form equivalent to one of the biggest nuclear disasters, if not the biggest nuclear disaster, at least prior to Fukushima, in human history. I don't know who else. I don't know anyone who would co-sign on that. I mean, it's a big world full of morons, so I'm sure there might be somebody, but I have never heard that.
Where his situation was quite literally explosive.
Quite literally explosive. Well, actually, it wasn't. Nothing exploded. He was there one day, fucking up, and then one day he was gone.
He wore a flamethrower to the table at one point. And people were definitely uncomfortable, right? Just like Chernobyl, right?
People were not uncomfortable during Chernobyl, sir. People died, and people kept on being marched into the nuclear waste zone because the bureaucrats refused to acknowledge what was really going on there. It was in no way, shape, or form analogous to the little bullshit that happened on Critical Role, man. I don't need to keep on overemphasizing this point like it's a big deal. You know what I mean? You made a clown out of yourself when you made this analogy, and we'll just keep on letting you dig your hole deeper.
Right. And here's the thing: Chernobyl was absolutely toxic. It was a nuclear explosion, and
it wasn't a nuclear explosion; it was a nuclear meltdown,
and it irradiated the Chernobyl area.
It irradiated not just the Chernobyl area; it irradiated 1,000 square miles, and it had nuclear fallout and radioactive particles that reached as far as Sweden and the U.S.
And that area today is literally called the Chernobyl exclusion area. Okay.
Yep.
Which is really interesting.
Why is that interesting?
The Chernobyl exclusion area, right? I'm sorry, it's called the Chernobyl exclusion zone. But what's really fascinating is you would think that area today is a dead zone where no one goes and it's just irradiated, it's ghost-like, and it's horrible. But that's not what happened at all, right? Actually, it's the exact opposite. Lynx live there, moose live there, wolves live there, some barn owls live there. Actually, what's really wild that has absolutely fascinated people is that there has been an absolute flourishing of wildlife in the area.
Yeah, that's despite what happened, not because of what happened. Genius. The YouTuber claims that because wildlife and nature returned to the Chernobyl exclusion zone, the disaster somehow wasn't bad, and uses this as a metaphor to say toxicity can be okay or even healing. This is the dangerous misreading of ecological reality. Yes, wildlife has returned, but only because humans have been permanently evacuated. Animals didn't come back because radiation is good. They came back because we're wrong. That's not healing. That's a warning. It's not redemption. It's retreat. Using this logic to excuse interpersonal behavior on a D&D stream is not only incoherent, it's offensive. People died. Generations were affected. It's not a metaphor for your D&D group dynamics. And by the way, FY, in case you're curious, it's still radioactive. and there's still mutations amongst the animals there. And before the radiation died down, these animals weren't able to return. And people can go there for short periods of time. They shouldn't stay too long. And yes, they take pictures. They take pictures because it looks like a bizarro ghost town. Everything's abandoned and stuff.
And it's been incredibly robust and incredibly healthy and incredibly productive for the environment itself.
It has not in any way, shape, or form been productive for the environment itself, other than the notion that when humans are forced out of a place, that things grow and go back to nature. But that's despite what happened, not because of what happened. And to say anything about what you're the metaphor that you're trying to make, you want to attribute Critical Role's success to Orion Acaba, saying that, look, Orion Acaba left and then there was all this success. Like, look, Chernobyl happened and then nature flourished, as if to say that there was this disastrous toxic person, there was this disastrous toxic event, and then everything got better, everything healed. No, it's after the toxic thing was removed, after the radiation died down, after the people that were causing all this environmental impact left, then things were able to heal and get better and have success. I know in your mind, J.Scott Garibay, that Critical Role success is because and attributable to Orion Acaba, but the conclusion to draw actually is that their success happened. Things really started to pop and work when they removed Orion Acaba from the table. That's when they had their most successful episodes. You can look at the analytics, you can look at the numbers and acknowledge that. You don't want to do that because that would foul up your whole reason for being, your whole modus operandi, the whole point that you're trying to make, which is that Orion Acaba was the greatest player to ever exist, like Gary Gygax was the greatest, person to ever existed, since Jesus. And by the way, I have to make this point again, for a person who claims to know so much about Dungeons and Dragons, why do you refuse to acknowledge the fact that Gary Gygax did not create Dungeons and Dragons alone? It was Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. Sorry, bro.
So while people said it was toxic, the reality is it's now pretty much a paradise for many.
It is in no way, shape, or form a paradise. Just because some animals come back and live there doesn't make it a paradise. And it's a paradise now. Chernobyl happened over 40, almost probably at this point, almost going on almost 50 years ago. You know what I mean? At least over 40 years ago. That's a long time.
Wildlife that live there. And it's so nice that many people that like influencers and people like that go there all the time just to shoot them, right? Like just to, take pictures and shoot them, which I find absolutely
just to take pictures and shoot them. I guess he's implying they're also hunting them, which is great. The humans go back there to hunt them and shoot them. Wonderful.
Fascinating. It is truly, truly fascinating. And so
what Chernobyl happened after 40 years, after almost 40, 45 years. You know what I mean? The lynx came back and there's moose.
And also, again, completely mirrors.
In no way, shape, or form mirrors. And this is like saying apples are exactly like oranges.
What you see with Orion Acaba. And it's the same situation. People are like, oh, Orion.
It is in no way, shape, or form the situation. Same situation. Only in your mind, dude.
It's so toxic. He really made a harmful space for people. Did he?
Yes.
Because the reality is there's been a huge flourishing of narrative, of Dungeons and Dragons, of Critical Role co-founders. All of them have been incredibly blessed
since he left
by the space he created.
He didn't create a space. When he was removed from the space, things flourished. When he was removed, things got better. The notion that you think that means that he created the space because their success after he left is just an indication of just like how warped your thinking is, man. I love you as a human being. I love you as a child of the universe, but you are in the world of tomorrow when all the TTRPG people reincarnate on TTRPG world. You will have the job of being in a corner, being guarded, and making sure you do not get out of the confined area where you are, isolated, because you have some sort of, there's something wrong with your mentality, bro. I love you.
right? That was space that Orion Acaba created with his 72
27 episodes, man. You have an inverse math, you have mathlexia, bro.
unique, truly unparalleled
First of all, he was a member of a group of people there. He didn't just do it himself, homie.
episode.
And meanwhile, I'd say I have to keep on reminding people, if anyone watches these episodes and thinks I'm some sort of like stalwart Matt Mercer homeboy and I love Critical Role, I hate Critical Role. I think the notion of watching these douchebags play Dungeons and Dragons poorly with their fucking overwrought acting and their voice, the girls were like regular looking normie girls. The dudes looked like fucking ass. The notion that like Matt Mercer was like in some regards like the most attractive guy in the room is just like shows you like what a joke this whole TTRPG community is. Like everything about this whole community, and I say that as an insider, is a fucking joke.
Episodes of Vox Machina. And you're like, wait a second, you sure, Scott? And see, here's the thing.
He
Everybody's
is sure. He's absolutely sure, but that's like just because he is on, you know what I mean, Universal Chode. It's like setting permanently forever. It's just that's like his source code identity. I'm like, you know what I mean? Lick it in love. It's just like what's happening on planet Earth today, man.
it's like, oh, Orion Cabo's the worst. He just did terrible. Oh, if you watch those episodes, boy, are they bad. But the problem is, that's ridiculous now. We're 10 years out.
Yeah, that's ridiculous now. 10 years out and aged like fine woos.
We are 10 years out, right? Millions of people have watched Orion Acaba's 72 episodes.
27 episodes, man. I just ever, you know what I mean? It's like, it's good. You remember there's an episode of like Kids in the Hall where the one guy is like describing Citizen Kane. He's like, oh, I watched a movie last night. I can't remember the name. He's like, there was a guy and he was obsessed with his youth and he became really successful, but he couldn't get over this like one memory. You talk about Citizen Kane? No. I don't think it was a Citizen Kane. It was like there was a he was trying to remember he was a sled. And there was you describe it Citizen Kane. No, it wasn't Citizen Kane. It was, and then finally the guy freaks out that it was Citizen Kane. It was Citizen Kane. He starts stabbing him. It's gonna be like that. I'll be like he'll get to like 3 years in the future and I'll like knock on his door and I'm like, hey man, I know you recognize me from YouTube. He'll be like, oh, you showed up. Yeah, you showed up. Yeah, man. Listen, I want to tell you something. Out of love, I just want to tell you something. I brought you something, Jay. I just want to say it's all love. Got you this. I know you're into Legos, so a little bit of a peace offering here. Just pretty cool, right? Yeah, it's a little Tigra. I don't know, unofficial, but here, a memory I saved for you, right? Whatever the expression is, Hey, you remembered? Yeah, I did. Hey, we'll throw it on the table. We'll have a couple of rounds. We'll play Marvel, Legos, miniatures, right? Half theater of the mind, half Lego. Click, click. Everything's connected. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, you know what I mean? And all that Orion Acaba stuff, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Back in the day. Yeah. 27 episodes. 72. No, it's 27. 72. Jay, it's 27 episodes. We've been over this. 72. It was 27. It was 27. It was 27 episodes. 27 episodes. Long way to go, Joe. Listen, folks, listen, if you're not watching, you're just listening to me on your phone devices. I don't know. I don't know if that's the way to do it. I would say. But anyway, here we go.
They're incredible. They're engaging.
They're stupid. They're really, it's the most ridiculous crap in the world. You know what I mean? I understand that some people like it. And I just want to say that if you like to watch Critical Role, I don't want you to get insulted by what I'm about to say. Okay. You should watch my videos instead. Okay. Because by definition, um, I'm better than you. I know that that's probably a terrible way to start a relationship with somebody, to say, to like yuck your yum. But there are certain things that I'm going to hard line on. Like you know, you know what I mean? There's just certain things where it's like, look, it's just wrong. Like listening to Steel Panther is stupid. If you think that listening to Steel Panther is some sort of good activity or cool or that they're awesome, you're wrong. You're just wrong. You're just wrong. And if you think that Critical Role are cool, or that was good, I don't know what to tell you. I love you. I don't want to start a fight. Let's stay on the subject.
And they're unmatched.
No, that's just not true. You could play Critical Role yourself with actual friends, and you would be playing. You could actually play Critical Role. My mind is. I'm losing my mind. Focus. How's his mic? Do I sound better? I got the mic, and the first episode that I did with it, I felt like I was talking because I had the mic. I felt like I was talking like this, and I feel like the combination of me talking like this with the mic was like great. And I'm like nervous that if I'm loud, it'll be like terrible. Like it'll be like I'm screaming in your head.
Have been no less than 100 live action plays that have come for the crown. No one can beat what Orion Acaba did on the
He wasn't there when they were successful, dude.
Dragon Master side.
Uh-huh.
Granted, Matthew Mercer is special. He is the best. He is one of the. He is a podium level dungeon master. He's one of the top 3 dungeon masters in the world. Okay, but
you know what I mean? He's the number 1 Rubik's Cube blindfold speed champion. It's like Billy Mitchell's like that. It's like that, like, you know what I mean? It's like he's the number 1 berserk player in the world. He's the Yu-Gi-Oh! Grand Champion. Here he comes. Is that his girlfriend? No. It's mom.
But when it comes to Dragon Masters, Orion Acaba is the GOAT. He like
the GOAT. So this is J.Scott Garibay. That dude is the number 1 Dungeons and Dragons player. I heard he sweeped at BlizzCon or like whatever, GaryCon.
No other Dungeons and Dragons player in the world ever made the people at his table millionaires and created a narrative that will be remembered.
He didn't create a narrative, dude. He was kicked off the show, bro. Look, here's the deal. Orion Acaba is not Tiberius Stormwind. Another failure in the original video is the conflation of the actor with the character. Orion Acaba played as Tiberius Stormwind, a character, but Tiberius has continued to appear in licensed media, comics, novels, maybe more. Those appearances are not Orion Acaba's performances. They are written, drawn, and published by other creators. To suggest that these appearances represent Acaba's ongoing contributions is a basic misunderstanding of character rights and authorship. It's like crediting Sean Connery every time James Bond shows up in a book. Those graphic novels were written, they were illustrated by other people, but they were written by Matt Colville, is my understanding. So this conflation of Tiberius Stormwind with Orion Acaba is just J.Scott Garibay not understanding how any of this shit works. He's got a fucking 12-year-old, not even. He's got an 8-year-old's understanding of how movies, novels, and TV shows work. right? He's the guy who walks up to fucking Robert Downey Jr. and addresses him as fucking Tony Stark. Where's your armor? What's Thor really like? My dad's an asshole. Can you kill him for me?
At the level of Vox Machina, Bell's Hells, and Mighty Nine, the way Orion Acaba did, and no one has been written into D&D. No one has been written directly into D&D canon the way Matthew Mercer did with Orion Acaba.
Nope, because Tiberius Stormwind is not Orion Acaba. And by the way, there are how about fucking there's so many people that fictional characters that have been written about more than Tiberius Stormwind. It's just ridiculous.
In Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, in the Wildmount,
you know, Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, the most successful D&D hardcover ever. I mean, the sales figures on Explorer's Guide to Wildmount are just like through the fucking roof. Like, forget about the player's handbook. Everyone knows where they were on release day for Explorer's Guide to Wildmount.
Gazetteer section, under Wastes of Xhorhas, under Ruins of Dracronia, you will find where Matthew Mercer specially wrote Orion Acaba.
Tiberius Stormwind is not Orion Acaba, dude.
Into Dungeons and Dragons canon forever.
It's not Dungeons and Dragons canon. It's that world's canon.
Okay, forever.
It's not forever, dude. Nothing's lasts forever. Not even the earth and sky.
I don't think Orion was toxic. If he was toxic, he was toxic in the way the Chernobyl exclusionary zone.
If he was toxic in the way that the Chernobyl exclusionary zone is, then he should be put, no offense, like, then he should put on, trial for war crimes. And nothing is going to come back for another 40 years. But of course, for him, he's not that toxic. He's a human being. He had troubles on the set. He was removed from the set, and that happened over 10 fucking years ago. And it is what it is, homie.
Zone is toxic in the way that is awesome and epic.
Oh, so you just said, folks, there it is. Let's just rewind a little bit, because he just said that Chernobyl, dude, this, if there's one thing I know about a little, it's about inference and logic. He just said if he was toxic, he was toxic the way that Chernobyl was, and then said, dude, let's rewind. Let's just catch that, because I think we just caught our boy saying that Chernobyl was awesome. And if we have him saying that, then I don't care how many times he says this, that, or the other thing about being a born-again Christian. This motherfucker can burn in fucking hell. In Minecraft. Also, dude, I want to point this out. If you think, talking about 7-year-old and 8-year-old conceptions of things, this guy seems to be the kind of guy who thinks that you, like a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, or a 5-year-old, thinks that if you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and personal Savior, that means you can then, from that point on, like, steal stuff, tell people where to go, mock other people, make fun. He, on a recent video, made fun of the guy who wrote the Wheels of Time books for dying of cancer. He thinks that you can mock people for dying of cancer. He thinks you could do this, that, and the other thing. You could say this, that, and the other thing about other people. You could say people that aren't from America don't matter. But because at one point you said that you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and personal Savior, that's it, you go to heaven. I have never heard a theologian, a Christian, an evangelical Christian say that that's how it works. I have heard Christians say, if you become a Christian, you're saved from the things that you did. And then if you fuck up again, you can repent again and, get back on the right foot. I've never heard anyone wise say, oh, that's it. Once you become saved, you can do whatever the heck you want. You can kill somebody, do this, that, and the other thing, because you're saved, and then you're good. This guy seems to think that that's the case. You know why? He seems to have an issue with his mentality. That's okay.
Chernobyl exclusionary zone is toxic in the way that is awesome and epic.
toxic in a way that's awesome and epic. The Chernobyl exclusion zone is toxic in a way that's awesome and epic. Actually, it's a tragedy, dude. No humans can go there for extended periods of time because it's fucking irradiated because a nuclear disaster happened that was preventable. Go do your research, homie.
It makes things flourish.
It didn't make things flourish. Things flourished despite it. Finally, the YouTuber ends by stating that he personally does not believe Orion Acaba is toxic, but this contradicts the entire rest of his argument. Every metaphor, every comparison, every justification depends on the premise that Orion was toxic. If Orion wasn't toxic, then Chernobyl doesn't apply, no redemption arc is needed, no defensive metaphor is relevant. The conclusion cancels out the thesis, it invalidates the whole analogy. Final statement. Let's just keep this genius's face up on the screen. We could talk about interpersonal conflict, redemption, and community boundaries in tabletop spaces. Those are worthy conversations. But invoking historical disasters where thousands died to defend someone's behavior on a D&D show, that's not conversation, that's distortion. Let's keep our metaphors proportionate and our arguments consistent. This guy is a wonderful human being. What a genius. What an absolute genius, right? Oh my. Okay. We have Chegg Chambers saying, what WTF is planet JSG on now? I believe Chernobyl has been occupied by Russian forces for the last 3 years. And then there's the radiation. The animals aren't likely to live long enough to develop any sort of cancer if they're being shot and eaten. Yeah, you're not going to want to eat those animals. You listen, folks. Folks, we're in the year 1997 because we have jumped into the realm of the fifth element. So I have a deck of tarot cards, the Chinese Tarot, which it was actually published, I think, in the early 80s, but it's been republished several years, including being republished in 1997. Ah. Queen of Staves. Water in the suit of fire. A lesson in opposites. Right? Water and fire. A lesson in opposites and contradictions. A female ruler, but who rules by action. Driven. Authoritative. Nurturing. Supplying what the people need. Giving. But what is also very interesting is that we draw this card when we're speaking about this notion, Chernobyl, and when we're speaking about the year 1997. And it was the year 1997 that the Orb released, I believe that was the year that they released the album Oblivion, which was their drum and bass experimental record. And on that record, they sampled an English actor. I believe his name is David Thewlis. And you guys know that I'm really bad with names. And it was his dialogue. They sampled his dialogue from a movie. I think the movie is called Naked. You know I'm really bad with names, and you know that I'm really bad with memory. But this is all coming back to me. And in the movie, he played kind of a paranoid schizophrenic individual who was obsessed with conspiracies. And they sampled the part of his dialogue where he goes, in the book of Revelations, it says, and wormwood will fall from the sky. Do you know what the Russian word for wormwood is? Do you know what the Russian word for wormwood is? It's Chernobyl. Do you know what I'm talking about? Let me check my data points on that. Let me check my data points on that. If I am on the money, everybody owes me a Coke. Yo, yo, yo. Oblivion is the fourth studio album released by English electronic music, The Orb, released on the 24th of February. 24 to 1997. With the album, the group reunited with Andy Hughes and Steve Hillage, returned to their spacey sound typical of UFO Orb 1992. Though Orb was it was not released until almost a year later due to Island Records' desire to promote it as a follow-up to U2's Pop. Oh my God. Here we go. Oblivion features many samples, including 72, which features a clip from Hair. The track Salt is based on samples taken from Mike Leigh's film Naked, which features rantings from the main character's apocalyptic preaching. Let me do this. Here we go. Here we go. Naked from 1993. Yeah, David Thewlis as Johnny, a loquacious intellectual philosopher and conspiracy theorist. The film won several awards. There you go. I got it. Can you believe that I got those names? Can you believe that I got those fucking names? Can you believe that I got those names? Holy crap. Salt. There you go. That the track is called Salt. Let me do this. Fair use, fair use, fair use. We're just doing this to see. Chernobyl. Facts. It's good stuff. Yeah, no, it's okay that you can't hear. It doesn't matter. Folks, spontaneous moments recollected. Queen of Staves, Water of Fire, Fire from the Sky, Nature, Mother Earth is coming back again to put it back the way it ought to be. The misunderstandings of J. Scott Garibay notwithstanding, the truth comes out. The pollution will be removed. Fire is the cleanser. Orion Acaba is not coming back to the table. J. Scott Garibay wants to make his videos. We will make ours. Though the analytics have told me jump chains are the way to go. Coming up, if you stayed this long, you probably haven't. If you like jump chains, you probably said, oh, this is not jump chain, whatever. I have worked out for those who want to know, who feel like the jump chain stuff. Oh, man, trying to bridge a gap between traditional solo TTRPGs and the jump chain world, working on a narrative only jump chain framework, starting from, jump chain preview, trying to work up a bridge between traditional solo TTRPG play, trying to work some traditional TTRPG elements into the jump chain play, working up, fixing in and moving in some dice mechanics. Not that I'll be the first person to ever do this. Working on taking the perks and stats that we're going to get from jump chains and working them in. The jump chains love D8s, even though traditionally 2d6 mechanics are known for their lovely bell curve. I've been working with ChatGPT to try and work on a 2d8 model. We've worked on a system core rule. We started off with a 2d6 system, plus 2 modifiers for relevant perks, plus 1 modifier for relevant item, minus 1 minor drawback or mild hazard, minus 2 for a major drawback or significant hazard, plus 1 or 2 for a strong narrative advantage, a companion bonus of plus 1. We also have a companion assistance rule that we worked up. And then we worked and we modified the numbers for a 2d8 system. We've got target numbers modified accordingly. We got a companion assistance rule. We're going to go through all this. We're going to break this down. When the companion will be relevant, when his or her perks will be relevant. We got the target numbers modified for a 2d8 system rather than a 2d6 system. We worked out so we could explain how the numbers are shifted to deal with the 2d8 bell curve rather than a 2d6 bell curve. Going to be going through all that stuff. We also have worked out in text that we could share with y'all the jump chain narrative oracle. You know how I do the spells from the the thing. Prepare 5 tables, each representing a distinct intellectual property, e.g., anime, film, novel, video game. Each table contains at least 8 lines of text from that IP. Daily line selection. Roll 1d8 once per table to draw 1 line from each, 5 lines total. This creates the daily narrative spread. Yada. We got all this stuff written out, so I'll be able to share with people probably on. Maybe I'll share the documents on Patreon. We'll go through the documents. We'll go through the rules. We'll do all this stuff, and we'll probably share the documents at some point on Patreon for people who want to download them or whatever. We'll figure it out. Just with a little bit of a preview at the end of this J. Scott Garibay centric Michigas. You know I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. You know I do. I love J. Scott Garibay. Come on. But Jay, man, come on. You got to think before you just run your mouth. Look into the actual guidebook that accompanies the Chinese tarot for a little extra insight into the Queen of Staves. The Queen of Staves is accompanied by two women who carry a golden censer and a peacock fan. The peacock is a symbol of beauty and dignity. Divinatory meaning: a sympathetic and understanding person, friendly, loving, chaste. Must be talking about me. Practical: charm and grace, gracious hostess. Here's the reverse meaning: jealousy, deceit, infidelity, unstable emotions, fickleness, resistance. Ah, come on. That ain't me. Babe. Speaking of babes, have I told you how much I love you? It's not just a come on, it's a request. Speaking of requests, could you like, comment, and subscribe if you aren't already? Yeah, wouldn't kill you. Give it a shot. Also, if you take a look at the description box below, I do have a Patreon I just let you know about. You could join for free. You could contribute for as little as $1 and some change a month, depending on what system you're subscribing on. There's some bonus material there already. If at least one person joins, I'll put more bonus material there. I swear to God. Send me an email. Let me know you joined, so I'll know to do that. And I've got a bot on stream on Twitch. Bot me on Twitch. Scratch me, I'll itch. I'll sing a song for you. Bop, bop, do. I love you. I love you. I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did. That somebody is me. I'll tumble for you. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of someone else. Don't let them get you crazy. Enjoy the show for what it's worth. Stay humble. Keep laughing. Let the good times roll. Talk to you soon. Okay? Catch you next time. Tweech.